Hello, welcome back. All right, I want to talk about two shows. And since I've got my entertainment guy stuff upstairs in anticipation of another big live stream on the Hockey Guy channel, which, for viewers of this video, there will be live streams happening on this channel this summer as well. Once the big, massive live streams on Entertainment Guy are done, then I'll be able to do some live streams here. Maybe even some on the PS4, which I haven't turned on in months. I'm going to need to do some updates, aren't I? That's highly likely. Also, want to say at the start too, this is our shot vaccination shirts. Yvonne ordered ones for myself and for herself and for the kids as well. So 5 shirts, but it goes to a good cause. So there you go. So I want to talk about a couple of shows today as I step away from hockey for a moment. Though there's hockey all around behind me. The Flash. So the Flash did its season finale. Now, the last time I talked about Flash, it was about how none of it made any sense. Then they get into the Godspeed thing, and if you haven't watched the end of the season, it's not bad. So I'll come out and say it's not bad, but I think that the bar got lowered by what had happened with the silliness of the forces of nature thing that came before. So you get their kids, and they used to worry about changing the past. remember, remember, it used to be, oh, you can't change the past because timeline. Now, whatever. Screw the past, screw the timeline, screw it all. You would almost expect Loki to show up at some point during these episodes. So you have XS, their daughter, and you have Impulse, their son now, and it's weird because it's Nora, but it's not Nora. It's not the original Nora was different. This is a different Nora. It's weird, right? But I will say this: once you get the kids onto the show, it's a better show, right? And then Cisco came back for the finale, and it's better. The weird part was they renewed their vows, which was kind of a way of making up for the fact that their wedding was nothing to write home about because it was part of the crossover, right? It was sort of an add-on after Oliver gets married. So they make up for that, but Harrison should have been there. And I know people are going to say, well, no, Harrison's off in his own timeline and he's... No. Harrison should have been there. If they can bring back Tom Cavanaugh for a cameo, all right, to play his villainous self, all right, then they can bring him back to actually play Harrison Wells for a moment as well. So the things that I liked about the last few episodes, I liked that the villain was kind of two sides of a whole. That there was a side of him that seemed to be a decent guy, and then there was the bad guy part. And I thought then they kind of squandered that in the last episode. So you get into this idea that, hey, maybe when he gets his memories back, maybe he won't be that. Maybe there'll be some kind of inner conflict. Nope, it's not there. And the weird part to me, and I've seen already articles talking about the lightsaber battle. Yeah, they have a lightsaber battle. There's no other way to describe it but a lightsaber battle. They create little lightning bolts that they fence with. It's lightning sabers. It's weird. It's really, really weird. And the idea too that they recreate Eobard Thawne. Now Thawne disappeared into the ether the last time we saw him. He just became pure energy, right? Which was sort of their way of going, Thawne's not gone. Thawne can come back. Which, fine. And I think going into next season, it's possible next season's the last season. That's been the rumor. And Thawne being the villain again, fine. All right, sure. But they get into the whole idea that Godspeed is Bart or Impulse, the Barry's kid's nemesis, because he kills Jay Garrick. And yet, while they get into that, they don't get into the emotional heft of it, of why that's such a big deal, which I think is a miss. I think that they missed on going back. Now, I'm going to give them a pass for this reason. You had a shorter season. But I'm not going to give them a pass because 18 episodes is a lot, and if you watch British TV shows, which I do, 13 episode seasons, they're able to get a lot done in 13 episodes. There always seems to be filler when you get into seasons that are more than 13 episodes. And there were definitely filler episodes. They spend all this time redeeming Esperanza, right, for Allegra. Her cousin's redeemed. And I thought, oh, that'll be interesting. I wonder what they'll do with that. And the answer is they kill her in the next episode. So it's like the actress was probably like, man, I can finally show my face. I don't need to wear that thing over my face. I'm dead. Is it because I took the thing off my face? Or am I that unattractive that they want to kill me off now they can see my face? Like, it just felt weird. And Allegra was a miss for me this year because she, and I've mentioned this in other videos, she just wasn't there half the time. When they said they were promoting Allegra to a regular, I thought, okay, cool. So that's a different superhero. It'll be interesting to see how she uses her powers, and she doesn't. She really doesn't. A lot of the season, she really, really doesn't. It's sort of like Chester. Sometimes he's there, sometimes he's not. And there's no explanation for why people aren't there. Now, what's interesting is, Legends of Tomorrow is wrapping up their season, and I haven't watched last night's episode yet. I think there was an episode last night. I've been trying to keep up on the Olympics. I've been trying to watch Love Island as well, because Love Island is my favorite guilty pleasure of the summer. So, Legends of Tomorrow, I will say this. It's been weird with the alien thing. I'm not buying it. I don't know that other viewers are either. The whole fact that Gary's an alien? What? Like, there's so much. But there are still things in this season that I like. I like that I was reading today that John Constantine, the character, is being written out, while the actor who portrays Constantine will stay on the show as someone else. I think Constantine has fulfilled his purpose. There's only so much he can do. And the magic that he's used over the last few seasons, eventually it becomes the same as the... I'm looking for it. It's around here somewhere. It's the same as Doctor Who with the sonic screwdriver. Where, I'm in a really bad situation. What am I going to do? Sonic screwdriver. And I press this button, and it's all better. And at some point in time, you're like, just use the sonic. Come on, Doctor, just use this. Just use the sonic. It fixes everything. Even though it shouldn't. And you don't explain. Just say you're reversing the polarity. Got it. Cool. You're reversing the polarity, and that's why and it gets lazy. And I think at times with Legends, it's gotten kind of lazy where it's like, what are we going to do? Just get Constantine. There you go. He's got a magic spell that just fixes it. And this year they're doing alien magic spells. And I'm like, oh, sure, alien magic spells. All right. And then they mention Crawley. And I'm like, oh, cool. If they could bring over from Supernatural, if they could bring in the guy who played Crawley in there, and you could... Nope, can't have nice things. Cool, all right. Could they do a crossover with like one of the characters from Lucifer and have... Nope, can't do that either. So there are, I think, some missed opportunities with Legends when it comes to the Constantine character. And I understand, too, HBO Max has a new series coming out. They are looking at hiring, apparently, a black actor to play the role of Constantine and to completely change how the show is done and make it more dark and more close to the original source material. Which, while I love the character on Legends, it's not as close to the source material as what's being promised for the HBO Max series. And he may be tired of it. He may just be tired of it. So, the other thing they did on Legends, they brought back Zari 1.0. And what I thought was funny was, now, I freaked out. I fanboyed when they brought back Zari 1.0. I was like, oh, thank you. Because Zari 2.0 had gone as far as the character could. They're the exact same person. So the longer that Zari 2.0 is on the Wave Rider, the more she's just going to look and sound like the original Zari. And then it just feels like Zari's cheating on Nate with Constantine, which I wasn't a huge fan of. And the whole Zari Constantine thing, I didn't like either, because it didn't feel like it was as true to the characters. It just didn't work for me at all. So when it was just, well, we're putting Zari 2.0 in there. Oh, well, what about the whole, it's going to create a time quake that's going to make it so Bayrod doesn't exist anymore. And they kind of went, well, if it's a couple of weeks, it'll be fine. What are they basing that on? Last time, how long was Zari 1.0 out? Like hours? And all of a sudden, Bayrod's like, I feel like I'm getting shot in the heart. oh well, clearly we've broken reality, and reality wants to put things back the way it was, and Bayrod was dead in the original timeline, and blah blah blah. And now it's, well, every few weeks we can switch Zaris. Cool, and nobody asks any questions. Just, all right, sure, cool, done. But again, Zari 1.0 is a much more interesting character, and eventually Zari 2.0 is going to be the same because they're the same person. So eventually she's going to have the same experiences, and the only difference would be she's not interested in Nate because she remembers Nate as being Bayrod's best friend. So I guess, or whatever. I don't know, it's just weird. But it shows that Talash, whose picture is still on the set over here, I've had that picture on the set now for a while, and every now and then on the Hockey Channel, people will be like, "What is that picture?" That's Talash, and it's signed to Shannon the hockey guy, so it can go on the main set because that one's to the hockey guy, the other one's to Shannon, the entertainment guy, so it works. But Talash is good because when she's one or she's the other, there is a distinct difference. There are times where actors are playing, whether it's twins or various forms of themselves throughout the universe. This is the Earth 1 version, the Earth 2 version, and they're kind of the same person. She is able to have a different, and it's not just like her voice is a little bit different, although the last few episodes for Zari 2.0, the voice wasn't sounding as different. And I even said to Yvonne, I said, she's starting to sound like regular Zari, isn't she? But there was still mannerisms were different. There were still differences in the way that she dressed and acted, and there were enough differences there you could tell. And when she was back with Nate, she was Zari 1.0. Again, you could tell. You could see the big difference. And so, big props to Tala Ash for her ability to portray the same character in 2 different timelines and portray them completely differently. So, kudos to her. I do have hope that Legends gets back on track in season 7. I'm not sure what happens. I know it looks like they're writing Rory out. Now, the shame of that is that the actress that plays Mick Rory's daughter is fantastic. I think she could be a really good addition to the cast as a regular. I just don't know how you make that work. And then you have, obviously, what's the theme going to be of next year? I would like to see them go back to fixing problems in time. Just go back to what it was in the beginning, and have some kind of an event go on where they have to fix it. Bring back the Time Bureau, and just make it what the show used to be. While it's fun to do this outside the box thinking, eventually get back to that beginning point, and it would be different now because Ava and Sarah are together, and it's a completely different experience. But the alien thing hasn't worked for me. As funny as the idea of Mick fooling around with an alien is, because that satisfies one of his greatest, fantasies. And we know that from his writings, right? So we know that when he wrote a book, that's kind of where it was going, and that was kind of his whole shtick. And so the idea of in a tough spot, he would be willing to fool around with an alien. That's Mick. Other characters, I would have said, man, no. But when it was Rory, I was like, you know what? Good for him. Good for him. I did kind of hope, and we still haven't seen proof that Kayla's dead. I still think it'd be great if Kayla became like a regular character for some sort. But there are certain characters that aren't working. I'm even struggling to remember the name of the actress they hired to come in and be like the one that talks to the aliens. Spooner. It hasn't worked for me. And it's not on the actress. I just think that the whole alien thing is kind of fallen, and so it's kind of taken that character with it. So, yeah, I hopefully that picks up next year. It's sort of like Astra. Astra joins the crew and nothing. She's just sort of there. So there are times where the cast feels overstuffed in a similar way as Flash. And there are times too where in a Legends episode at the end of it will be like, that character wasn't in there at all this week. Where were they? And again, I understand that when you've got a big cast, you may not have room for everybody, but just explain it. Just explain it. You can have a throwaway line during Flash. Where's Allegra? Oh, she had to go into Central City and do this. She had to go to Star City and do this. She had to I know they're in Central City on Flash. I'm just saying she had to go across the city and she had to do this. She's got this charity event she's gone to Star City to do, or something along those lines. Just explain where they are. Where's Poochie? No, I'm just kidding. But they are still the shows that I follow regularly. And again, for Flash, I was encouraged by what I saw towards the end of this season far more than any of that Forces of Nature stuff. Now I'm mad that Forces of Nature stuff took up so much of the season when the Godspeed stuff is so much more interesting. But I will say this, I still don't understand the whole Godspeed thing. All these Godspeeds are fighting each other. Okay. Why? And then it's, well, they're all clones of August Hart. Yeah, no, I got why. Why are they fighting each why? Well, they've all come back from the future. Yeah, yeah, okay. Why? What? Huh? So I'm still and that's the storyline I like more, is the one that I'm kind of left going, I okay, sure. All right. There's a lightsaber. All right. And now Flash can make a lightsaber, and everybody makes lightsabers of different colored lightning. Why? Why are all their lightsabers a different color? That may seem like a minor thing, but it should be explained. My lightsaber's red. Why? His is white. Why? That one's yellow because it's Thawne. Okay. Why? Why all the different colored lightning? Because I understand that it's kind of a fun thing. It kind of feels like going into this year that maybe they got a whole pack of expo markers and they're like, all these have really nice colors. And we could do purple, and we could do green, and we could do blue, and we could do it, just because that's kind of how it feels. And each force of nature had its own color, not really explained. So they could do a better job of explaining things. And next season, where it'll be a regular, normal, you would think, full season for Flash, we'll still have some throwaway episodes. I'll still have that rule. I have a rule when I'm watching a TV show, that if at the start of the show they show some big battles going on, and then the next scene is 24 hours earlier, I skip the episode. That's my rule. I skip the episode. I go right to the very end of the episode. I'm like, okay, so nothing that happens here matters because that battle is taking place between two people we don't expect. Let's just fast forward to the battle. Nothing in this episode is likely going to have any consequence. It's something I've learned over the years, is when it's a sci-fi show and they say 24 hours earlier, Now, if it's a Groundhog Day episode, you've got me hooked. Those episodes are absolutely fantastic. Supernatural's Groundhog Day episode is still one of the funniest things I've ever seen. That was where Sam was trying to prevent Dean from dying, and Dean dies over and over and over and over. And it is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. And it's so perfect. And then at the end, there's a message to it. So it's not just that they did a Groundhog Day episode just for fun. They did a Groundhog Day episode that went somewhere and teaches Sam a lesson. And it's a dark lesson out of a funny episode. But there are some really good episodes of Supernatural right up until season 5, and then it becomes a little shakier. But yeah, so Legends, The Flash, again, here I am talking about them because I enjoy the shows. I do hope that they both kind of pick up from what was kind of an off season. And again, I'm willing to give them a pass because the pandemic really hurt shooting all over the place. And yet, you look at what Superman and Lois has done this year, it's been fantastic. But again, if you want to give Superman and Lois an explanation for that, it might be they had a clean slate, which both The Flash and Legends of Tomorrow did not have. They didn't have that clean slate. That a first season of a show, I think, would probably be the easiest to write. You don't have canon. You don't have characters you have to worry about from seasons before. You don't have other storylines to worry about. You're not as concerned with what you're setting up for season 9 and what you've already done in seasons 1 through 7. In Superman and Lois, they're creating this brand new thing. And there are some problems I've had with Superman and Lois. And I'll do a Superman and Lois video at some point. But in general, it's been fantastic. I just wonder, why is Lana's house so dark all the time? The only thing I can figure out is that the actress who plays Lana is a beautiful woman, and they want to make it look like she's not necessarily older, but just that she's this down home small town, and maybe they feel like in full lighting, and if they let her really dress up, it's not going to work for the Lana character they're trying to create. That's the only thing I can come up with, because the lighting on Supernatural, or no, Supernatural, on Superman and Lois, I had super right and then I messed up the rest of it. Superman and Lois, it feels like the lighting is well, it's different. It's very, very different, isn't it? Which is why not doing a crossover this year might be for the best. They'll be into the crossovers next year. The one thing I do get mad at with Superman and Lois, and again, I totally understand. I totally understand pandemic shutdowns and all that, and shooting schedules. But there were at least 3 times this season where I was like, okay, Kal-El totally is calling Kara here. There's no way he's not calling his cousin. There's no way he is not going to get his cousin to help him in this situation. Because we've seen in Supergirl how many times she has called Kal-El in, or Kal-El's gone to help her. And the fact that she's never once been on the show to help him is just weird. Because she still exists and she's still around. So I find that's the one thing on Supernatural, or again, I got Supernatural on the brain. Superman and Lois is the one thing that I look at and I say, that's weird. And again, I understand everything that might be, precluding that, but I hope that, and knowing that Supergirl is done, I do hope she has cameo appearances on Superman and Lois, because I do enjoy Melissa Benoist's take on the character. I think she's done very well. I think she's made it her own. And while Supergirl itself was kind of an uneven show, and there were entire seasons that were a little bit off, right? Her portrayal of Supergirl is spot on, just as Tyler Hoechlin, his portrayal of Clark Kent / Kal-El is fantastic. And I also really like what they've done with John Irons and his character that has evolved throughout the season. So there's a lot of good things going on with Superman and Lois. It's just that one tweak. That one thing that I said, you know what? That's where he's calling Kara Zor-El. That's where he's calling his cousin and saying, I need help. We've got Kryptonians here. I think it's time for my sister to come in and help, or my cousin to come in and help. So it's just that one thing. All right. Let me know your thoughts if you've been watching The Flash or Legends this year. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.